Welcome to another episode of Shift with Elena. In this conversation, I chat with Saad Bin Shafiq. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's literally just been this go-getter, builder, hustler mode person since he was like 6 years old when he was, trying to figure out how to sell things to people essentially. So really inspiring, really interesting person to talk to. Creating different products, had lots of failures in his life, which is so typical of a true entrepreneur, believe it or not. And I found that it's this hunger that he has and this like continuous drive to just create and build, no matter the failures, no matter the successes, but just to continue to build, and this internal motivation that he has to just be this creator is really, really inspiring. And so he's the founder and CEO of Nodes.inc, which is a company that essentially creates really streamlines process when it comes to your hiring. I found that tool really useful being in the kind of talent development recruitment space. I've seen a lot of these tools. I think his tool actually has something really unique. So we talk about that in the podcast. So make sure you check it out, especially if you're in the space and looking for some different solutions. If you're an entrepreneur, I think you'll relate to his story. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, I think listening to some of the real advice that he gives and just like how real he keeps it throughout his journey, I think it's worth a listen to truly understand the mindset that it takes to go from failure to then success, and actually be that overnight success that people talk about, right? That actually takes years in the making and a lot of heartache and challenges and so on. So anyway, I think you're going to enjoy this episode. So check it out. As always, please subscribe, like, share, and come back for more. Saad, welcome to the Shift Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to chat with you. I people always tell me I have a lot of energy. I think you beat me to it. We've only spoken one time before this, but the amount of the speed that you work at, the amount of energy that you bring to the conversation, I think we're gonna feel throughout this conversation for my listeners. But I'm really excited to chat with you about all amazing things you're doing. So before we go into this recent journey that you're on with Nodes, take me back to Saad in school. Take me back to like high school. And what made you who you are today? Somebody who's just very energetic, very creative, a builder at heart.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And, Elena, I think you have a lot of energy and I'll try to keep up with that. I don't know, I still don't have as much energy as I want, but, as a founder, you're never satisfied with anything you have. But okay, let's go back. So I was born in a tiny village in the Himalayas in Pakistan with no electricity or gas growing up, no roads. And, at that time, I think I was two when my father and mother, they moved me to the capital of the country in Pakistan. They're like, hey, and one day he bought this thing called computer, and I was super young. And then there was this thing called Windows in there. And I'm like, hey, what is Windows? So like, hey, there's this guy named Bill Gates in a country called America. And, that's what this is. So I'm like, and at that time I thought, okay, where this country, America, first of all? Second of all, how does somebody sitting in America has made something that I'm using in Pakistan? So I was really curious. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this company thing is, but I'm going to build this company thing one day myself, bigger than this Microsoft guy. And I was 6 at the time. And over time, that kind of dream grew up, and of course, it evolved into where we are today. But early on, I started selling peanut butter jelly sandwiches to my classmates when I was 6. Then I built a wooden drone completely from scratch, from scrap parts that could fly 1 kilometer. And based on that, I got scholarship to one of the best schools in my country. I didn't like going to class. I hated class in school. So I made a deal with our principal. I'm like, hey, what if I make a website for your college? And, give me a room and internet access for like a month, 2 months. He said, sounds good. I didn't know how to code. I had no idea what a website was. So he gave me a room and I learned how to code by myself. And I built a website within 3 weeks as opposed to 3 months. And, but I didn't tell him that, hey, it was done, because I was like, okay, let me just enjoy this time. And yeah, from there, I got multiple other scholarships, applied for college in America, got into 18 different colleges. One was full scholarship, came here to study computer science and math. And that's where the story actually begins. So before this, I was in boarding schools as well since I was 12. So I had a lot of discipline and those things. But when I came to America, this is when I was like, okay, now I have no one to fall back on, because I was there just for myself. Didn't know how to speak English, had no friends or family, nothing. And, my dad was, I didn't come from like a rich family or something. So my dad only bought one-way ticket and the rest was up to me. So I come here, I started doing every single job you can think of. I was a waiter. I was washing dishes at an Indian restaurant. I was also like scooping ice cream at Haagen-Dazs. Every single thing you can think of. And then that I was doing on one side. On the other side, I had scholarship, but I was putting all the money I make into any kind of idea I had. At this time, I had no idea what Y Combinator or any of these startup things are. So, and I was not, I didn't have a phone, like a smartphone, so where I could, look at internet. So I was just working, just trying new things, whatever comes to my mind, right? And started every single thing. I did Shopify stores. I was selling one time bikinis to people in Florida, even though I'd never been to a beach in my life at that time. And I was selling everything I could. And then I almost went homeless 7 times. I say almost because I was staying on friends' couches at that time. Started a few companies. Almost every company failed for the first 6.5 years. Every single thing I did. And this one company that kind of took off was I was importing and distributing food products to Costco. So specifically, I was doing Himalayan pink salt. So this is when COVID hit, and I was sitting in my uncle's basement who moved here, recently at that time, and I was like, "What can I do here? Because I don't have money. I don't know anyone. But what can I do?" So I called Costco and I'm like, "Hey, I'm a distributor, and I want to sell you pink Himalayan salt. They're like, "Okay, send us samples." Then I called, some salt not manufacturer, but mine owners in Pakistan, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm a distributor. Can you send me some samples?" So they send me samples. I repackage it, send it to Costco. They loved it. Got my first contract for 1.7 million dollars. In the first 6 months, I was sitting in a basement in Westchester, and then the demand was super high, but I didn't have money to fulfill the orders, so that didn't work out. And that's where I moved to my friend's couch in Miami. And during this time, by the way, also when I was in college, I didn't know how to talk to people because I was coding since I was 12. I was always a nerdy little kid. So like, what's the worst thing I can do to get my confidence up? So first I tried talking to every random person I can, but then I saw this job post on Craigslist. It was known as a club promoter. I'm like, what is this club promoter? I Googled it, searched for our code, and then called that number. And he's like, "Hey, have you done it before?" I'm like, "Yes, of course. I have done it before. I know what this is." Even when I have no idea how to even say hi to somebody. Did that for like 2 years, 2, 3 years while I was in college, just to learn how to have people skills. And I met some of the best network from that time. So now I can talk to literally anyone I want. And yeah, then I was in Miami for a bit at my friend's couch. After that, I started growth agency. I first got a corporate job for a year, basically, and I was in there for a year, and I was like, this is not for me. Even though
What was the corporate job?
I was a business analyst at a
Okay.
company called Brinks Home, and essentially it was like security systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw how old school everything was, and I was like, I have no idea how these people who are above me because they have no idea what they're talking about. And
I'm laughing because
every
it's true, yes, in many
yeah,
cases.
everything was so broken that I was appalled by it. I'm like, what is even happening here? Like, why am I here? This is not why I came to America, just to get a job like this. No, I didn't work that hard to end up here. I mean, good for people, but not for me.
Yeah.
So that's where I started growth agency, where essentially I scaled 4 different companies from 0 to 1, all startups in less than a year. And the first client I got, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna scale your company from 0 to 1 in 1 year. If I don't do it, I'll pay you your money back. Plus, I'll pay you $10,000." So this was the offer that, I mean, who's gonna offer you money if they can't scale your company, right? And this was the time I was sleeping on my friend's couch, so I had no money to back up the claim that I'm gonna even pay somebody 10,000. But worked really hard on that. It worked out. One thing I did want to mention in there that I didn't just come out of the blue and do it myself. There was this guy I found online, like some online course. Not It's not an online course, like a community program, where essentially you have to pay some money to get in. And that guy has scaled multiple different companies before as a growth consultant. So basically, I was there for a month and I learned as much as I can because I could only afford it for a month after borrowing some money from my friend. Because I was like, okay, if I have to do everything, I have to do this entire 34 month thing in a month. I did that, and that's where I started. So, scale first company, use that as a case study, scale second company, and then the third company and the fourth company. And during that time, okay, now this is super simple, but how can I automate it? That's when
Mm.
GPT came out. So I built an AI STR by myself, like an MVP for myself, because I could code, I can still code. And I built it and it started working out good. So I was like, you know what? If I'm working at other startups, I can scale them, but it's not mine. Like nobody would care how many companies I scale as a growth consultant, right? And when I say nobody, like I mean, I don't care what people think, but at the same time, I want to have something of my own that I have ownership in. So that's why I built AI Synapse. That was a company that is right now that's rebranded to Nodes and started as AI SDR, but we were stuck at I think 2K MRR or 3K MRR. And then we reached out to this one company, it was an insurance company, like, hey, we love what you're doing, but do you have something for recruitment? I'm like, of course, we have it. Give me 2 weeks, I'll give you a demo. I'm super busy for the next 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, me and my two engineers in Pakistan, we worked 18 hours a day and I showed them the demo in 2 weeks. They loved it. They paid us $45,000 up front. And, we got a contract for $1.2 million. At the same time, because of, a lot of things that happened to me, some personal things at the same time, I was behind on rent for 3 months. I was behind on salaries for 3 months. And that 45K covered everything. So everybody thought that, okay, this is it. This is gone. Saad the entrepreneur who's always trying, but nothing, never getting anything. But that changed everything. Since then, this was in the pivot we did was in January, 6, 7 months ago. After that, we just signed a contract for $10 million as of this week. Basically, it's a white label deal. We keep 30% of the revenue. And apart from this, I have some of the other very large banks and Fortune 500 companies in America who are pipeline with us. And we actually had Saudi Aramco and a few other companies from Middle East reach out to us because they want to work with us. So things are looking great now. And yeah, that's like a 6, 7 minute overview.
Yeah. There's so much that I want to go into. So let's just first of all, as I hear the story, and you said this from the beginning, you said you're somebody who's never satisfied. Like as an entrepreneur, you were never satisfied. Where do you think you got that from? Because this is what a lot of people wonder about. It's like, is it something that was innate in you, or is it something you developed over time? Like as you were growing up and you're like, okay, I don't have any money. I want to have money. I want to do something more. But then even in times that you failed, you still kept going. So what was it that just kept you going?
I think it's a combination of both. So from early on, I saw my parents working all the time. My dad was always working, but even then, we wouldn't have any money by the end of the month. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are you working all the time? Why are you never here, like always working, but you still don't have money? And then instead of whenever we wanted anything, our parents would say, "Oh no, this is too expensive." At the time, I would understand why is it expensive? Why can't we? Why instead of saving money, why don't we try to make more? And that was something I learned early on. And so and then also I had some friends who, I was in scholarship my entire life. So one of the best boarding school I was in, it was in Pakistan, where all the politicians and all the really like wealthy people they sent their children to. And there I saw that what my parents were making in a month, the kids are spending in a day. I'm
Mm.
like, that is crazy. And so for me, I always thought, okay, what things can we do? And I learned a lot from those students there. I'm super grateful for the time there because that changed the thinking I had. Because one time my best friend asked me like, hey, if you had 10 million rupees or dollars at the time, what would you do? I'm like, I don't know, I'll go buy a house, give it to my parents, they're happy and do something like that. He's like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, wow. He's like, this is exactly why a lot of people don't make money. If I were you, I would take that $10 million, invest it in some, I don't know, what he explained at the time, where he's getting at least 10%, 12% returns aggressively or even 4%, and then use that money to buy things I want. That was a
Mm.
small switch, but every time I get those small things, because see, when you're really thirsty for water, even one drop can get you far. So now I was really thirsty for these kind of things. So when I get even one hint, I like build an entire world in there. So I went really deep into from there on and learned a lot.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's so spot on. It's something that I've learned also over the years around just the psychology of money. And there's actually a really great book for anybody who's listening and interested called The Psychology of Money. And it talks about that mindset, right? Like why is it expensive? And is it, like why is something expensive? Or what are you actually going to do with the money that you get? And a lot of people are afraid to even dream big around money, right? Because it's this taboo thing. And I grew up in Russia, and over there it was just like, listen, we're not even promised tomorrow. So the fact that you're alive and have bread on the table, you're good. Like, don't even think about anything else. So investments,
Yeah.
it was just non-existent. Like that's not what we grew up with. So, but anyway, I think that's a solid point around just the mentality and money.
And one
Um,
last thing
Yeah.
there to answer your question, what get me going?
Yeah.
Because I early on saw that my parents and my brother, I'm the oldest of four brothers. I saw that my parents and brothers are, I love them the most. They're the only people I love and the only people I literally take a bullet for, right? And so for the past 10 years, the only thing that kept me going is my family. Because I was okay, I don't so when I came here, I saw how people are living. I'm like, no, I want my parents to have good life too. Because they're the kind of people, if they have something, see somebody in need, they'll give away their own thing just to make sure the other person has it, right? And for me, I was like, okay, I love them for this, but I literally did everything completely opposite of what everybody around me
Mm.
did, and that's where kind of I am where I am today. And so I was like, okay, what can I do to get them here? So it took me 7 years, 7.5 years, but I got my two younger brothers here in America on college for college. I paid the entire tuition. They stayed with me. One just got married last month, and I just got my parents and my youngest brother here on June 15th, almost a month and a half ago. No, June 1st. And I saw them after 10 years, right?
Wow.
So every year I had an option to either go and see my parents or invest whatever money I have and invest that into something new I have, not
Mm.
my new idea, my business. And I invested every year myself. And
Yeah. Congratulations. And that's big. That's huge.
thank you.
Um, the other thing, as you're kind of talking about your journey, you've dipped your toes into so many different things, and we often hear people talk about entrepreneurs and like, how did you create a product? And you're like, oh, I'm really passionate about this. I'm really good. In your case, you're just like, it sounded like you're like, I just want to create something. I want to make money because your entrepreneurial journeys are, yes, a lot of it is around tech because that's the skill you have, but otherwise, it's pretty broad, right? So how did you choose what to dive into next? Like, how did you choose your ventures?
I think passion is overrated. Uh, if somebody who says you're passionate, I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of people who talk about passion. They're either billionaires or they don't have any money at all.
Yeah.
So, when you're a billionaire, yeah, you can go ahead and, chase your passion.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I can see myself in my entire life is I always try to solve problems, right? Early on, when the principal didn't have the website, in
Hmm.
my school, I was okay, what is a problem that I can solve? And I learned this over time that even though, okay, now there are a lot of books and stuff that I've later figured out that I later read, I'm like, okay, this is common knowledge, not something I discovered. But basically, the bigger problems you solve, uh, the far you're gonna go. So it wasn't always okay. It's not even about money, right? It's about the independence that comes with it. Because I don't want anything to hold me back. So I
Mm.
was in a boarding school and it was a military boarding, and people were telling me all the time what to do. So I do hate it with my full being is when somebody tells me what to do, or when something is in my way and I cannot get what I want, right? When I say, of course, get what I want, it comes to like personal thing, not like when it relates to other people. But that's what I don't want. So this money part just enables me to get to do whatever I want, and people I love, I can get them whatever I want or do whatever they want without thinking, okay, what if I can do? Because these things, monetary things, I think they're just an obstacle. And I don't like obstacles like that.
Mm. I like it that you pointed that out. I'm very similar. Like I for me, it's just about doing what I want to do, working on things I enjoy, working on things that like I choose. Like even if it's
Yeah,
hard, even if whatever, however difficult it is, like I choose. Like it's that freedom piece. To me, it's just like to live life on my own terms. Like to me, it's not even about money, but it's like it's yes, it's partially it is about money because money gives you that freedom and access and opportunity and all of that. But the bigger thing of it is just like the freedom to just live my life the way I choose without anybody like tell me what to do. So I'm with you
yeah,
there.
yeah. And if I just cared about the money part, I would just go to Google or Facebook, get a job there, right? They pay a lot of
Yeah.
money. I don't care about that money. I care
Yeah.
about what I own, and basically, like, it's a lot of freedom that comes with it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. The other thing I have to point out, I didn't tell you this, but when you and I chatted at first, and I was looking at your website, and remember you pointed me to a white paper, and it was like, and I couldn't find it at first. Remember, I was like, which one are
Yeah,
you talking about? And then you pointed it out, and then you like, and what you said, that's actually great feedback. I'm gonna make sure it's more visible. Like you took my feed, like I didn't even try to give you feedback, but you saw that I couldn't find it very easily. And then you're like, that's a problem. I need to solve it. She could
Yeah,
not find this thing that should be super obvious, like right away, like the white paper. And I didn't mention it then, but in my head, I'm like, I was like, after that, I was like, oh my God, it's like he literally just on the spot said, here's a way to improve. Like your mind went to like improvement, problem solving. You didn't even think like a second about it. And I think that's probably also what makes you very unique is because that's, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs, the reason they're successful is because they're able to take that feedback. And what I'm trying to get at is that it's hard sometimes to take that feedback versus for you, it came naturally. Like it was just like, yep, okay, you're right. Maybe it's hard to see. I need to address it. So were you always able to take feedback? Like, is that, because it's not easy for me. It hasn't been easy for me up until like my 30s. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm mature enough to take feedback from people,
yeah.
but like it's hard. So where's that come from for you?
I think it's in human nature that every time somebody tells you that you're wrong or something, as a human, we have defense mechanism up, like, hey, no, we are right, right? And of course, I
Mm,
had that as well. But over the years, I learned that, especially in customer service, serving ice cream, and all that, is also one more thing I did was there, like, I helped autistic students in college to help with their lives. So
mm,
during all those experiences, I saw that it doesn't matter what I think, right? And when it comes to customer, anybody who's using our product or service, whoever you're interacting with, it just matters what the other person is thinking, how we can make things easier for them. So if I'm getting a feedback about a product or service, right, I need to make sure, because at the end of the day, I'm making the product or service for them. It's not for me. It's not for people I care about. It's for the people who are going to be using it. So for example, when the insurance company told me like, hey, we need something for insurance or for recruitment, I'm like, sounds good. We have it for you, right? Could I be oh no, I'm gonna stick to sales because sales is big? No. So I think the best thing that I've learned over the years I've developed, it doesn't come naturally. You have to go through the processes. Is start putting yourself in your customer's shoes and think from their perspective. What are the best benefits they're gonna get? Is it human nature that everybody's looking for their own benefit? So if you can understand what the other person is wants and what they need, and you can give it to them in the best possible way that they want it, you solve the problem. And I think I want to solve as many people's problems as possible, specifically in HR world, because one of the things I really didn't like is that when I was applying for my corporate job at the time, I pretty sure I applied for over 700 jobs. I didn't even get accepted into one of them apart from this one.
mm.
So I hope that
Yes.
answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's spot on. I think it's just like, that, being able to provide the best product, you always have to think about the customer, making that experience even better. That's ultimately how your product grows and survives. So for sure, I like that. I just think it's such an important point that we, as people often miss. And for me, like I said, like it was like such in my face. I was like, man, he's so on it. Like, it was like a good reminder for me. I'm like, this is why we do this. Is like this,
Yeah,
like it was a real
yeah.
live
The more,
example. That's all.
yeah,
Yeah.
the more the people ask me or question everything that I do, the more I love it because it actually helps me and our company grow. Because
Yeah.
if the day I'm not getting any feedback, might be the day that I'm doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I need to get constant feedback. It's great for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of products and kind of solving those problems, your product Nodes, I would love to talk about it. So I come from recruitment talent development background, and when I saw your product, I was like, this is awesome. I think it's scary to a lot of recruiters out there, but I think that's the future. So talk to me a little bit about Nodes. What's the problem you're solving? Because I think it's super interesting and people need to know.
Yeah. So when I first looked at hiring platforms and everything 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I saw that everything is super super complicated for no reason, right? The only goal is that you have to hire the right people for the right jobs and give them the right benefits, and that's about it. I know I'm like you know making super simple, but of course it needs to be as simple as possible because when I go in there, I see too many ATS, too many keyword matching systems, and all these HR payrolls and all that. I'm like, what are we even doing? There's an entire team of people who have to then manage each of those tools. I actually was dealing with one of our clients, and they had an engineer they specifically hired who only knows how to manage that platform. And I was like, that shouldn't be there. So my goal with Nodes is make it a full stack operating system for hiring. What I mean by that is it goes everything from the start, job creation, job posting, to headhunting in there, to making sure you have a talent pool in there, then AI interviews, screening portions. Then of course we do need human in the loop. So we will
Hmm.
have just the final few interviews. You can have one, two, three, however you want with the humans. And then after that, the offer letters, the salary negotiations, everything else is handled by AI. So we have a couple of main features. The first one is that benefits a lot of our companies at the moment is you look at your existing employees. Let's say you have 10,000, 20,000 employees, and we're like, okay, who are the top performers here? What makes them the top performer? Then we look at the KPIs, OKRs, internal notes, and then create a persona on them on one side. Then every applicant who applies for a job, we not only just look at their resume, we look at every single thing they have available on the internet that's publicly available, right? Then create a persona on them and match that persona with your top performer persona and see how good of a fit are they for your team, for your culture, and how, etc. And let's say you like, yeah, I don't like any of these candidates. That's where AI goes into headhunting mode. It's going to go into other industries, other companies, see who matches your persona, and then you're going to reach out to them and have them book a meeting in your calendar as a recruiter. So it's going to also
Hmm.
make your life easier. And the other thing is that the persona is not fit. So fix, for example, if you're like, hey, I like Alex from the sales department, but I wish Alex had these certain other qualities instead of these ones. So you can update
Mm.
that persona, and next time you can hire somebody better than Alex, right?
Yeah.
And we also have a lot of case studies with this, which is working for our clients at the moment. And the other thing that is also so great, we have all these things on one side for our companies, right? For companies who are looking to hire people. On the other side, we're going to be launching this feature next week, is essentially for candidates, for applicants. You can come to a platform, upload your resume, upload the target, put the target job link or job description, and then we'll give you a fit score, how good a fit are you for that job, but also give you like actionable insights, what you can do to improve your odds. But then we'll also ask you like, hey, can we save your data internally? So next time any of our clients are looking to hire someone, we have this pre-screened candidates pool that we can recommend to them as opposed to them headhunting or even posting a job.
Mm.
So that's something we're doing for candidates.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like the idea that it's kind of like updating the persona in real time. Like you give it feedback, and this is where I think like for a human, like I'm just thinking like okay, I manage a team of recruiters now, and it's just one, it's very difficult to go through thousands of applications. Just not, it's impossible. Even if we have
Yeah.
these what is it called? Like oh my gosh, slipping my mind.
ATS.
Like ATS, yes, but those functions in ATS, the ones that like kick out the
Yeah.
definite no's and etc. It's still hundreds of people that we have to go through that is simply like phone calls or like just the screen call itself. It's not feasible. It's just not feasible. Like, any company that says they look at every single resume, like I question that. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, depending on how many recruiters they have, of course. But so I like it that it does that. And I like it that it looks at that persona and it looks at it from almost like a skills-based, personality-based, character-based. Like here's a character I'd like to have in my company. This person does X, Y, and Z. They have experience in X, Y, and Z. That person might not be able to put it on a resume in a way that reads in that way. Because I
Yeah.
think most people just suck at resumes in general, or even putting their story. So I think if it's
Yeah.
able to collect that information, that's interesting. Yeah, I think
And
that's
other
super
thing,
helpful.
yeah, thank you. Another thing we also do is we can tell if somebody's lying on their resume, right? So
Hmm.
if somebody's putting like, hey, I worked at Google for 5 years, we're gonna go check their LinkedIn or something like if are they connected to at least like let's say two or three people there. If they're not, we're only going to flag it. And when we do the pre-screen interview with our AI, we're gonna ask them like, okay, what was your specific job at Google? Who was your direct report there, right? Or if they're applying for a Python engineer, we're gonna ask them about specific libraries about Python, right? So the
Hmm.
question I don't think recruiters probably know a lot of them because their job is just to hire people, but they're not Python engineers. So that also helps a lot in identifying who are the top 1% of the candidates in the entire pool that recruiters can focus on instead of going through each and every resume for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think the whole technical screen is super useful here in particular because that's where for most of the heavy lifting we do is through the tech screen. So if we're able to even minimize that time a tad bit, just at least to get out of the way of the basics, because our recruiters, yes, they understand some technical pieces, but they're not technical people. So if there's an AI that can actually get through the first screen of technical questions, that'll be super helpful. What about I'm just thinking like people who don't have a digital footprint, who are super introverted, don't know how to talk to a camera, don't even feel comfortable, don't have a LinkedIn, all of that. Like, do they miss out on opportunities, you think?
So a lot of those people fall into, let's say, like developer and engineering roles. So But the one thing they always have, you're an engineer, is like a GitHub, right? So then you can also check your GitHub. And other thing that's really helpful is if somebody doesn't have a lot of data on their background on social media, we flag those profiles. And during the screening interviews, we ask them really specific questions about their background, right? And the
Mm.
good thing about these questions is that it's not a human, right? So a lot of these introvert people, they're not good at talking to other people on camera. But if they know, hey, this is an AI, and they can submit the answer again, like a second time, and they don't have to do anything, they feel more comfortable actually, because that's where you can actually ask them very detailed questions. They can go on and on about their background, and you get all that information, and then that's what helps us get 360 data on them.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Um, so what's so you're obviously building nodes. What's next for you guys in nodes? Like what's the dream, I guess, for the next, let's say, 12 months?
Yeah, so for next 12 months, our goal is to hit 10 million. I mean, we already signed a contract for 12 million, but our goal is to hit at least double of that in ARR by in the next 12 months. And then in terms of revenue. In terms of partnership, we want to start activating our Middle Eastern partnerships, and also some of the large enterprise partnerships in America.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. And where can people find you? Where can they check out the product? You have a really cool website, lots of information there and case studies and that white paper we talked about.
Yeah.
Where can they find that?
Yeah, so you can find us on our website, Nodes.inc. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Saad Bin Shafiq, and on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are going very hard on all socials. So it's Saad Ships AI. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, Saad, any last pieces of advice for entrepreneurs or people who are building stuff? Like, what's like the one or two things that you wish you would have known back then, or anything that you want to give to the audience as a tip?
Yeah. One thing I would do differently is that stick to something for a longer time, right? You're not going to get results 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes it takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So stick to it, but also when you stick into it, listen to your customers. That's something I learned over time. But if you have those two things combined together, I think you can be successful at anything. And whatever you're thinking, think bigger. Whatever you think you are, like that's just the starting point, and you have way more to go after that.
Beautiful. I love that. Saad, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to following your journey and hopefully continuing the conversation. At some point, I'd love to chat again. And thanks for coming on the show.
Sounds good. Thank you, Elena.